What is up, you guys? It is James from James Gentiles back with another video. Of course, 7 days a week, every week, 365 videos a year, I guess, if you would. If when I get to that point, I mean, I've missed a couple, so at this point, I'm probably like 2 weeks straight without missing one. Every once in a while, I skip one, just for whatever reason, busy, tired, lazy. Right here, I have Skipper, my male breeder crested gecko. He's real nice, almost a full pin, real nice light gray color, perfect head structure, huge crest. Today we're actually going to be talking about crested geckos versus leopard geckos as first time pets. Now this can be swapped around. You can swap crested geckos with gargoyle geckos, you can switch leopard geckos with fat tail geckos. They're basically the same in crested geckos and gargoyle geckos, even though I don't have any gargoyle geckos. The care is exactly the same. For leopard geckos and fat tails, the only care difference is going to be higher humidity for fat tails. And to supplement that, it's just an extra humid hide is how I do it. So let's jump straight into care for the crested geckos. Now, crested geckos, generally, you're going to want a big glass tank. They have their feet pads that can stick to glass real well. And these guys are actually really awesome first pets. You can keep them at room temperature with no heat pad, no thermostat, no light bulbs, and you don't have to feed insects. That's a big key for a lot of people. You can supplement crickets, and if you're breeding, it's absolutely recommended. It's weird if you don't and you're breeding. Just give those females extra calcium in their diet and extra protein. But they actually eat a crested gecko food diet, which is a slick powder you can get at a reptile store or an animal store, a pet store, and you add water, you mix it up, and it's a little applesauce paste kind of stuff for them, and they lick it up and they love it. One thing with crested geckos is they are nocturnal and they do jump a lot, and they love to hide. So you're gonna have a lot of bushes with a big branch in the middle, maybe a little bit of empty space, and they're going to be able to jump if they want, and they're going to hide behind the leaves. And one of the things that's great about that is if you have a view from the side and they're behind the leaves, you can see them from behind, or you can see their tummy. Now, you aren't going to see them a lot during the day unless you're really up late. They start to get active around 9:30, 10:30 for what I've seen. But another thing is you do feed like every other day. So leopard geckos, you're not going to feed quite as often. So if you want to interact with your animal more often, that's how you can do that. And you do have to spray them down. I spray heavily once every 2 days, exactly like right when I feed, I spray. And I don't know if that kicks anything off in their brain, but I want them to be like, hey, it's raining, there must be fresh fruit up there. That's kind of what I go for, but it's not guaranteed that they're ever going to learn that. That's just my mentality. So crested geckos are real simple, they're real awesome. They do drop their tails and they don't grow them back. A lot of people like them, they call them frog butts. Not all of them drop their tail, of course, but when you're breeding, if it stresses them out, they can drop them fairly easy. It's nothing to be alarmed about. But that's it for crested geckos. This was Skipper, and he's not wanting to be held anymore. Let's move on to leopard geckos. So this right here is Malloy. He is my male, my oldest leopard gecko. He's a little torn up. He's gotten in a fight. He was about 1.5, so he was an adult, and nevertheless, he's still beautiful. I still keep him. He's not breeding. He might breed this year. We'll see how things play out. Leopard geckos are really easily handleable, like crested geckos, but they're not gonna jump on you. And that's a big thing for a lot of people who are getting new animals. Both these animals are very good beginner pets, and I've been in the hobby for about 4 years, and I breed, and I've got multiple animals over $1,000, and I still work with them because they're still amazing pets. They're still awesome, and if you're getting into breeding, it's easy to sell animals that everyone wants. Now, leopard geckos, they generally, if you have one pet, you're going to have a 10-gallon tank. I wouldn't recommend anything smaller. You obviously can, especially with a baby, and everyone makes mistakes. Everyone's going to end up trying to buy a smaller tank, and it's just, I wouldn't recommend a 20-gallon, but a 10-gallon works fine. This goes for crested geckos too, I forgot to mention. Don't house males together. If you want to house female leopard geckos, female cresteds, it's fine, it's awesome, it's perfect, it's dandy. If you introduce a male with crested geckos, you're going to see eggs right away. Leopard geckos, you're going to see breeding behavior, and the male will terrorize the females a little bit. They're more seasonal breeders though, so you won't see eggs as often. But leopard geckos, they do need that 90-degree hot spot, so you're going to need a heat pad of some sort, under tank heater, a thermostat to control that. I wouldn't recommend any lights for a leopard gecko. I know pet stores all recommend lights, but no one who actually keeps them thinks that's a good idea. So please stay away from lights if you're getting a leopard gecko or a fat-tailed gecko. You, sir, have a little concerning lump on your neck. That looks like it might just be fat. Leopard geckos are also nocturnal, but it's a lot easier to just reach in and lift a hide and pick them up than it is to move all the plants around in a crested gecko vivarium. And it's fun to watch your gecko walk around. Maybe you put it in a little box with some crickets and you watch it hunt. That's always really fun. Now, I did mention crickets. Leopard geckos, they don't eat anything but insects. Their main diet is mealworms, with crickets every once in a while. And if you want to supplement dubia roaches, you can do that. Hornworms, smaller hornworms, waxworms, black soldier fly larvae, any of that good stuff they will eat, but it's mainly mealworms. Now, they can't drop their tail. This one has a nice full tail. I have some with regens. All these little segments right here can drop at any segment and regrow. It's going to look funky when it regrows. It's going to be smoother, and it can redrop at any point above that after that, and it'll always grow back. Now, it's a little more iffy on leopard geckos, especially as they're younger, because the tail, you see, it's really thick. It's full of that fat storage, that fat contents. If they drop it and they're not doing too well to begin with, maybe they're a little skinny, they're sick, they're young, it's going to be harder for them to bounce back. So, but at the same time, they're less likely to drop it. Like, look at this. He's not even, you would tell before he'd be able to drop it, he'd start wiggling it really fast. It's pretty hard to get them to drop it unless you're actually trying. Leopard geckos make really good pets, and of course, I've been bitten by crested geckos more often than leopard geckos, just because they're not as happy being handled or being picked up. They're more scared. Once you get them, cresteds are nice, but leopard geckos are super tame all the time. Almost to the point of bearded dragons. I've never heard of a bearded dragon really biting someone. Leopard geckos are the same way, except sometimes. The bites aren't bad either. But both of these pets can live up to 20 years in captivity, if not longer. So if it's something you're getting for your kid, or you're trying to convince your parents, that's a big thing to think about. And I know a lot of, I just saw someone selling, I forget what it was, a ball python online, and those live a long time too, up to the 20, 25 years. She had it for 15 years since it was a baby, and she was selling it. And that's just so sad. It's like, if you get it as a pet, make sure you're able to care for it for its entire life. She went so close, like, it could have died the next year literally from old age, and she wouldn't have known. That's just how some of these animals are. But people are going to do what people are going to do. So both these animals are great first pets, and I really hope you guys learned something from this video. If you're trying to get one from your parents, let them watch it. If you're trying to figure out more information, save it, watch it again. When I was first getting him, actually my first leopard gecko, I was like 12. I had no idea what I was doing. I killed it on accident. And I got him about 4 or 5 years later. I did tons of research. I knew months in advance what I wanted. And then one day I said, you know what, I'm going out and I'm getting it. I had a bunch of videos just like this saved. They all said the same thing, maybe slightly different. And I took all that information and I learned as much as I could. Leopard geckos, fat-tailed geckos, crested geckos, gargoyle geckos, even though those are a little bit more expensive, they're all really great first pets. And bearded dragons too. We're not going to talk about that in today's video. They're a little bit more complex care-wise, but both these animals, especially crested geckos, are extremely cheap and easy. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm James from James Reptiles. Leave a like, a comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All that really helps out this small channel. Of course, I do post a video every day of the week, 7 days a week, so you're getting 7 reptile content videos a week. If you want to know when they come out, it's usually 5 o'clock or later throughout the day, up to as late as 11 o'clock at night. So I would say to watch it the next morning. But nevertheless, hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can even email me at jamesreptiles@gmail.com if you have personal questions about an animal. As always, I do have animals for sale. I have baby crested geckos I breed myself. I sell dubia roaches locally, and hopefully this year I will have some more fat tails and possibly some leopards for the first time. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you guys learn something and get some animals. Enjoy.